Imagine your phone buzzes.
Oh no.
Right, it is like 11:30 at night, you are just about to drift off, but you make the mistake of glancing at the screen.
We all do it.
We do. And it is an email from your boss. The subject line just says, "Urgent tomorrow."
Ugh, the worst.
In less than half a second, before you even unlock the screen. I mean, before you even read a single sentence of the actual email, your blood pressure spikes.
Instantly.
Your digestion practically halts. Your brain floods with cortisol, and your shoulders just tense up right around your ears.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, those are just pixels on a screen, just a tiny sequence of letters, but they have just physically assaulted your nervous system.
It really is a remarkable and, well, kind of a terrifying biological loophole.
Yeah, definitely terrifying.
Because we tend to think of language as this abstract intellectual construct. Like it's just ideas, right?
Right.
But the brain doesn't always distinguish between a symbolic threat, like that stressful email, and a physical threat, like, say, a literal predator in the room with you. The words trigger this cascade of physiological responses that are practically instantaneous.
Exactly. It's not just floating in the ether, it is deeply, undeniably physical.
Yes.
But here is the really fascinating flip side to that equation. If words can hijack your nervous system to induce panic, could the right sequence of words delivered in the exact right way do the exact opposite?
That is the big question.
Could language be used to physically lower your heart rate, to unclench your jaw, to literally force your brain into a state of profound rest?
And spoiler alert, it absolutely can.
It can. And today we are taking a deep dive into an incredibly specialized form of communication to answer that exact question. We are looking at a text excerpt from a sleep story.
A very specific kind of text.
Yeah, it's titled "The Valley Where the Stars Never Fade." And just to be clear, right up front for you listening, our mission here is not just to read you a relaxing bedtime story.
Right, we're not just doing story time today.
No, we are here to completely deconstruct the hidden underlying mechanics of what we are calling story talking.
I love that term, story talking. And making that distinction between storytelling and story talking is absolutely vital to understanding what this source material is actually doing.
Okay, unpack that a bit. What is the difference?
Well, when we engage with traditional storytelling, so like a novel, a movie, a TV show, the primary goal is almost always entertainment or, emotional catharsis, intellectual stimulation.
We want to be engaged.
Exactly. As an audience, we demand conflict. We crave tension. We want the protagonist to face insurmountable odds.
Give us the drama.
Right. But this is a highly specialized piece of functional fiction. It is engineered from the ground up for a completely different purpose.
Functional fiction, that's a great way to phrase it.
Yeah, because it is designed specifically for physiological alteration. It acts as a deliberate structural bridge between the chaotic waking world and the vulnerable state of the subconscious.
It is storytelling completely stripped of tension and essentially weaponized for rest.
Weaponized for rest, I like that.
I mean, we are looking at a text that has to do the heavy lifting of talking your central nervous system off a ledge.
It's a big job.
It really is. And what is so interesting about this deep dive is that we are going to trace the biological journey of sleep alongside the narrative journey of the text.
Step by step.
Step by step. We can basically break this down into 3 stages of neurological descent. First, disarming the amygdala.
Yep.
Second, hijacking the somatic nervous system. And finally, fabricating a profound sense of psychological safety.
It's a very specific sequence.
So to see how story talking actually initiates this first stage, disarming the threat detecting part of the brain, we need to look at the very first lines of the text.
The opening is crucial.
It begins like this. Welcome tonight. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing waiting for you, nothing asking for your attention. The day is over. The world can continue on its own, while you simply rest.
Okay, so what is happening right there in those opening lines is just a master class in psychological unburdening. Yet notice what the story talking deliberately avoids doing. It does not start by setting some grand, sweeping scene.
Right. It doesn't say, once upon a time in a dark forest.
Exactly. It doesn't describe a complex character with a rich backstory. It doesn't immediately drop you into a beautiful landscape.
It's surprisingly direct.
It is. Instead, it starts by directly and, almost aggressively addressing the listener's immediate, real-world anxiety.
Huh.
It severs the ties to your daily obligations, but it does so incredibly gently. It is actively constructing a psychological safe bubble.
Right, because by explicitly stating that the outside world is self-sustaining, like that line, the world can continue on its own, it is targeting a very specific modern neurosis, isn't it?
Precisely. It directly attacks the listener's false sense of indispensability.
Oh man, indispensability, that hits hard.
Doesn't it? In our modern hustle culture, we are so conditioned to believe that if we step away, if we stop answering emails, if we stop managing the household, everything will just collapse.
We think we're holding the universe together.
Yes. And that hypervigilance is a massive primary driver of insomnia and chronic stress.
Wow.
The brain just refuses to shut down the prefrontal cortex because it truly believes it has to stay on guard to keep the world spinning.
So the story talker steps in.
Exactly. The story talker steps in as an authoritative voice and says, hey, you are off the clock. The world will survive without you for the next 8 hours.
Okay, but I have to push back on this right out of the gate.
Go for it.
Because I am someone who has tried everything. I have the white noise machine that sounds like I'm standing inside the turbine of a Boeing 747.
The heavy-duty one?
Oh yeah. I have a weighted blanket that practically flattens me into a panini.
I know exactly what you mean.
And yet I still lie there staring at the ceiling. So when I read those opening lines, my immediate reaction is deep skepticism.
That's completely fair.
Does simply telling a busy mind there is nothing waiting for you actually work? Isn't that the ultimate psychological trap?
You're referring to the ironic process theory.
Right. The classic, don't think of a pink elephant paradox.
Yes, the pink elephant.
Because the absolute second someone tells me nothing is asking for your attention, my brain takes that as a direct challenge.
It rebels.
It really does. It immediately catalogs the 52 specific things that are, in fact, desperately asking for my attention.
Like what?
Like the unanswered emails, the laundry sitting in the machine getting damp, that weird rattling noise my car was making on the highway today.
Well, the car noise will keep you up all night.
Right. Telling me not to think about my obligations feels like it should spectacularly backfire.
And you know what? You are entirely correct to be skeptical. If the narrative simply stopped there, if it just lingered in that abstract realm of conceptual unburdening, it almost certainly would backfire.
My brain would win that fight.
The brain would absolutely rebel. But this is exactly where the mechanics of story talking reveal their sophistication.
Oh, okay.
The text anticipates your exact resistance. It knows the mind is going to fight back. So it immediately pivots.
What does it do?
It abandons the abstract mind entirely and speaks directly to the physical body. It provides what we call somatic anchors.
Okay, let's look at how it executes that pivot, because the very next sequence of lines shifts drastically in tone.
Let's hear it.
It says, make yourself comfortable. Allow your body to become still. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes. Relax your jaw. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands become warm.
Okay, so if we connect this to the broader neurobiology of the nervous system, this pivot is a stroke of absolute genius.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of arguing with a racing mind, the story talker just bypasses it entirely.
It ignores the mind.
Exactly. And look at the specific progression of the instructions there. It is a highly deliberate top-down sequence. Relax your forehead, relax your eyes, relax your jaw.
Starting at the top of the head.
Right. And these aren't just random body parts. They are the primary epicenters of tension for modern human beings.
Oh, totally.
When we stare at screens for 9 hours a day, when we stress over deadlines, what do we physically do?
We scrunch up our faces.
We furrow our brows to focus. We squint against the blue light. We clench our teeth in frustration.
I'm literally unclenching my jaw right now just reading the quote.
It's contagious.
It's wild. You don't even realize how tightly you're holding those muscles until an external voice explicitly points it out to you.
Most people don't.
And what strikes me is how localized the instruction is. It is not a vague, generic command like, oh, just relax your whole body.
No, it's very targeted.
Right. It is giving the brain a highly specific, geographically precise task.
And that specificity is the antidote to the pink elephant paradox.
Oh, okay.
By giving the brain a hyper-localized physical task, like focusing on the micro muscles around the eyes, it occupies the exact cognitive bandwidth that was trying to ruminate on the damp laundry or the rattling car engine.
Because the brain can only do so much at once.
Exactly. The human brain is incredibly powerful, but it has a finite capacity for conscious attention. You literally cannot focus with intense, microscopic detail on the physical sensation of your forehead muscles relaxing while simultaneously stressing about tomorrow's budget meeting.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't. The somatic anchor forces physical presence.
It pulls you out of the hypothetical future and slams you back into your current physical geometry.
Beautifully said.
But I want to zero in on the final instruction in that sequence, because this is where my skepticism flares up again.
Let's hear it.
The line is, let your hands become warm.
Yes.
Now, relaxing a muscle like unclenching a jaw is a conscious mechanical action. I can actively choose to stop flexing a muscle,
Right.
but I cannot just consciously command my hands to change temperature. That crosses a massive line for me.
How so?
That doesn't feel like a relaxation technique. That feels like hypnotherapy, or honestly, borderline pseudoscience. Are you seriously suggesting that reading words from a story can literally change my blood flow?
I completely understand the skepticism. It sounds like magic. But there is absolutely no pseudoscience involved here.
Okay, prove it.
It is pure evolutionary biology. So in states of high stress, your sympathetic nervous system, that's the system responsible for the fight or flight response, takes over.
Right, the adrenaline kicks in.
Exactly. When the brain perceives a threat, even a symbolic one, like a looming deadline, it wants to prepare the body to either run away or engage in literal physical combat.
It thinks we're fighting a bear.
Basically, yeah. And to do that efficiently, it enacts a process called vasoconstriction.
Vasoconstriction.
Yes, it literally constricts the blood vessels in your extremities, your hands and your feet. And it shunts that warm, oxygen-rich blood toward your core,
To the vital organs.
to your vital organs and your major muscle groups.
Basically, the body's preparing to take damage to the extremities, so it minimizes the blood flow there to prevent bleeding out,
Spot on.
while supercharging the heart and lungs.
Exactly. From a survival standpoint, it is incredibly efficient. But the side effect is that when we are stressed, our hands literally do become colder.
Oh, wow. I've actually noticed that before.
It's very common. Now, when the story talker suggests, let your hands become warm, it is using language as a back door
A backdoor to what?
to coax the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, to take the wheel back. This is a well-documented physiological phenomenon known as vasodilation.
So by just suggesting the idea of warmth, the brain responds.
Yes. When you intensely focus your attention on the conceptual idea of warmth in your hands, the brain can, and often does, trigger the physical relaxation of those constricted blood vessels.
That is why.
The vessels dilate, blood flows back into the extremities, and your hands physically warm up.
It's like a biohack.
It is an extraordinary biological feedback loop, and it is entirely initiated by a narrative cue. The mind suggests the state, the body attempts to match it.
And when it matches it.
When the body achieves it, it signals back to the brain that the environment must be safe. Because if we were in danger, we wouldn't be sending blood to our fingers.
That is absolutely mind-blowing.
It really is.
So just to summarize where we are in this first stage of neurological descent, before the actual story of the valley has even begun, the text has systematically disconnected the listener from the obligations of the outside world.
Step one.
It has targeted the specific micromuscles ruined by modern screen time.
Step two.
And it has actively manipulated the circulatory system to reverse a fight or flight response.
Exactly.
It is like aggressively tilling and prepping the soil before planting a single seed.
That's a great analogy.
And the very next tool the text deploys is somehow even more intimate. It completely takes over the breath.
Ah, yes, the breathing sequence. It is the structural foundation for the entire rest of the experience.
Let me read it. The text reads, take one slow breath in and gently breathe out. Again, breathe in, breathe out. Every breath carries you farther away from the busy world. I really want to obsess over that last sentence for a minute.
Let's do it.
Every breath carries you farther away from the busy world. Because to me, this acts as a brilliant cinematic transition.
What do you mean?
Well, think about how a film editor moves you from one scene to another. Sometimes they use a hard cut, which is jarring and fast.
Right.
But sometimes they use a slow fade cross dissolve, where the lingering image of the old scene slowly blends into the emerging image of the new one.
Yeah, a very classic technique.
This breathing exercise functions exactly like a narrative cross dissolve, but instead of just watching a fictional character transition between locations, the story talker is forcing you to become the active character.
That is a phenomenal analogy.
It leverages your actual physical respiration to literally propel the narrative forward.
It really highlights a crucial difference between traditional storytelling and story talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a classic fantasy or adventure novel, how is a protagonist usually transported?
Oh, they ride a horse
Right.
or take a train.
Right. They're carried away by a horse-drawn carriage or a steam train or some massive ship. The vehicle of transportation is always external to the reader. You are passively observing their movement.
Right.
But here, the story brilliantly weaponizes the listener's own autonomic bodily functions. Your breath becomes the carriage. Your physical respiration is the vehicle of escape.
Which is incredibly clever because breathing is this weird biological anomaly, right?
It is.
It's an autonomic function. Our body does it automatically without us thinking about it, like our heartbeat or our digestion. But it is the one autonomic function we can easily seize manual control over.
We can override it.
Yeah. I mean, we can't just decide to slow our digestion, but we can decide to take a deep breath.
Precisely. And by tethering the narrative movement to the breath, the text accomplishes two vital things.
What's the first?
First, it ensures that the physical act of slowing the heart rate, which is naturally achieved through slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing, is inextricably linked to the progression of the story. You literally cannot move forward in this narrative without physically engaging the vagus nerve and slowing your respiration. It demands physical participation.
You have to do the work.
Yes, you are co-authoring your own physiological descent.
So you aren't just listening to a story about relaxing. You are performing the biological mechanics of relaxation to unlock the next chapter.
Exactly. And second, it fundamentally alters the spatial relationship between the listener and their stress.
Spatial relationship.
Yeah, think about how stress physically feels. It usually feels like a suffocating heavy blanket.
Right on the chest.
Exactly. It feels omnipresent, localized, right on top of your chest. But by suggesting that every breath carries you farther away, the story creates simulated physical distance. It takes the abstract concept of anxiety, removes it from your chest, and turns it into a distant physical location on a map. A location that you are actively moving away from.
That is so powerful.
The slow, rhythmic rising and falling of your chest becomes the rhythmic sound of footsteps walking away from the source of your panic.
Wow. Okay, so this brings us through the first stage. We are unburdened, our facial muscles are relaxed, our blood is flowing back to our extremities, and we are breathing rhythmically, using our lungs to literally carry ourselves away from the anxieties of the day.
We are fully prepped.
We are prepped. Now, and only now, does the story actually begin the world building and introduce the setting.
The fun part.
Let's read the introduction to the valley. Tonight, imagine you are standing at the entrance to a quiet valley, a place hidden between gentle mountains, a place few people ever find, a place where the stars never fade.
So I want to draw your attention to a single transition word right at the beginning of that passage.
Which one?
Tonight.
Tonight, okay.
It is a small word, but it does massive psychological work. Up until this point, we have been running away from the past, the day that is over.
Right.
Tonight anchors the listener firmly back in the present moment, but it establishes a new, fiercely protected present.
Got it.
And from there, it introduces the environment using a highly calculated technique of sensory layering.
Yes, let's unpack that sensory layering. Because the order in which the text introduces the environment is deeply counterintuitive.
It really is.
The text continues, the air is cool, fresh, peaceful. You can smell pine trees, wildflowers, and the clean scent of mountain streams.
Notice what's missing there.
Exactly. If you pick up almost any best-selling novel, the author will almost always paint a visual picture first.
Yes.
They will spend a paragraph describing the jagged peaks of the mountains, the specific color of the sky, the lighting, the shadows.
Setting the visual scene.
But here, before we are allowed to see a single visual detail of the valley itself, we are told to feel the temperature. Cool. And we are told to smell the environment. Pine trees, wildflowers, clean streams.
Right.
Why this specific order? Why prioritize tactile feeling and olfactory smelling over visual seeing?
To understand that, we have to look deep into evolutionary biology, and specifically how our primitive brains process the concept of safety.
Yeah.
Engaging the lower level primal senses, specifically smell and temperature, grounds the listener far more rapidly and deeply than visual descriptions ever could.
How so? Aren't humans primarily visual creatures?
We are. Which is exactly why visuals are the wrong tool for this specific job.
Right, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Visual processing takes a tremendous amount of cognitive energy. But smell is different. The olfactory bulb, which is the structure in the front of the brain that processes odors, has a completely unique architecture.
How is it unique?
It has direct, unfiltered neural connections to the amygdala, which processes emotion, and the hippocampus, which manages associative learning and memory.
Wow.
Smell completely bypasses the thalamus.
Okay, let me make sure I'm grasping this. So the thalamus is basically the brain's switchboard.
Yes, exactly. Think of the thalamus like a highly cautious, very busy corporate receptionist.
I love that, the corporate receptionist.
Right. Whenever you see something, hear something, or touch something, that sensory data has to go to the receptionist first.
Oh.
The receptionist puts it on hold, processes it, and then eventually routes it to the correct department in the brain for conscious thought.
Sounds exhausting.
It takes time and cognitive effort.
But smell doesn't have to deal with the receptionist.
Not at all. Smell has a direct VIP elevator straight to the CEO's office, the amygdala.
Oh, wow.
This is why the sudden smell of smoke will jolt you awake and spike your adrenaline before you even consciously realize you are smelling smoke.
That makes so much sense.
But the inverse is also true. When a text suggests the smell of pine trees and clean water, it is exploiting that same VIP elevator to deliver a message of absolute safety.
Because good smells means safe environment.
Exactly. For our ancient ancestors, the smell of clean running water and fresh vegetation meant an unpolluted, thriving environment. It meant survival.
So when I read a lush visual description of a scene, my brain basically has to boot up a powerful graphics card to render all those colors and shapes.
Yes, exactly.
Which requires metabolic energy and keeps the brain active. But when you tell me to imagine the smell of pine trees, my brain doesn't have to render anything.
Nope.
It just instantly recalls the visceral feeling of being in a forest. It is a biological shortcut.
A physiological shortcut to a state of calm. Visuals require active imagination, which inherently stimulates the visual cortex. But temperature and smell are immersive and ambient.
Right?
When the text establishes that the air is cool and smells of clean mountain streams, it is bypassing logic and signaling directly to your primitive brain that the environment is pure and non-threatening.
And then the visuals come in.
Yes. Only after that baseline of ambient biological safety is established does the story finally allow the visual elements to render.
And when those visuals do finally arrive, they are incredibly gentle.
Very soft.
It says, above you, the sky is endless. Thousands upon thousands of stars shine softly. The moon hangs peacefully over the valley. Its silver light covers everything like a soft blanket.
Like a soft blanket.
Yes, I want to talk about that simile, like a soft blanket, because it is doing something brilliant.
It really is.
It takes this massive, distant, emotionally cold, visual concept moonlight shining across a vast valley and instantly translates it into a tactile, intimate, comforting sensation.
It makes it personal.
It takes something you see and turns it into something you feel wrapped in. It is reinforcing the theme of sleep and security on multiple sensory levels simultaneously.
Absolutely.
It's almost like forced synesthesia, where the story is demanding that you feel the light rather than just passively seeing it.
That observation brings up a vital point about the specific vocabulary used in story talking.
The word choices.
Yeah. Notice the recurring adjectives throughout this excerpt. Gentle, quiet, soft, peaceful, clean, slow.
Very simple words.
Very simple. Now, if you submitted this to a creative writing workshop, they might tear it apart.
They would say it's repetitive.
Exactly. In isolation, these words might seem highly repetitive or even simplistic, but in the context of physiological alteration, repetition is not a flaw. Repetition is rhythm.
Oh, that's good.
The language is not trying to challenge the listener's vocabulary. It is not trying to impress you with complex, avant-garde metaphors, because a challenging metaphor requires active cognitive effort to decode.
Right, if they describe the moon as, I don't know, a solitary silver coin tossed upon the velvet expanse of a beggar's cloak.
Very poetic.
Right, my brain has to stop and do the math on what that means.
Exactly. It forces the prefrontal cortex back online to solve the puzzle of the metaphor.
Which wakes you up.
It does. But comparing moonlight to a soft blanket is instantly and universally understood by the body. It takes zero cognitive effort.
Yeah.
It wraps the terrifying vastness of the night sky into a manageable, inherently comforting physical sensation. The language is aggressively simple because simplicity requires no metabolic energy to process.
Okay, so the environment is fully built. We are standing in the valley. Our primitive brain has verified that it smells safe and the moonlight feels like a blanket.
We are there.
Now, the story introduces motion. The text reads, "A narrow path stretches before you. You begin walking, slowly. One peaceful step, then another. There is no hurry, no destination to reach. Only this quiet journey."
This part is fascinating.
I want to pause and dissect this,
Yeah.
because there is a profound, almost invisible paradox happening here. The story is strictly dictating our actions. It says, you begin walking. That is a direct command.
It is controlling you.
It is controlling our avatar in this space. Yet the feeling generated by these words is one of intense, liberating freedom. How does the story talker achieve this feeling of absolute agency while simultaneously controlling every step of the narrative?
The secret to that paradox lies in the explicit and deliberate removal of plot stakes.
The stakes.
Yeah. Look at the phrase, no destination to reach. Think about what drives almost every single aspect of our waking lives, and indeed the structure of traditional storytelling.
Getting to the end.
It is the destination,
Yeah.
the objective, the goal. We walk to get somewhere. We drive to arrive at work. A character goes on a journey to find the buried treasure, or defeat the Dark Lord, or solve the murder mystery.
There's always a point.
Human behavior is fundamentally driven by tension, anticipation, and climax. Our modern brains are addicted to the dopamine loops associated with completing tasks and arriving at destinations.
It's the ETA mindset.
The ETA mindset, exactly.
But every time I open a map app on my phone, I have a little blue line and a specific minute I am supposed to arrive. My entire existence is just a series of waypoints.
And that ETA mindset is exhausting.
It really is.
This specialized form of story talking actively and radically dismantles that structure. It relies purely on the experience of forward momentum without the suffocating pressure of a goal. It is movement purely for the sake of movement.
Which is an experience we almost never ever get in real life anymore.
Ne-
It's wandering. By removing the destination, the story gives you permission to just exist in the transition state. You aren't failing to arrive. Arrival has simply been deleted from the equation.
Precisely. And this removal of the destination is scientifically vital for the onset of sleep.
Why is that?
Well, sleep itself is the ultimate destinationless state. If you approach sleep as a goal, if you lie in bed thinking, I need to fall asleep right now, I need to reach the destination of unconsciousness, you will almost certainly experience insomnia.
Oh man, trying to force sleep never works.
It never works.
Yeah.
The effort required to reach the goal actively keeps the brain awake. The narrative here flawlessly mimics the psychological state required for sleep to naturally occur. The absolute letting go of the need to arrive anywhere.
But the genius of it is that while you are on this completely destinationless walk, the environment doesn't just fade to black. The story keeps you tethered.
It gives you things to look at.
The text says, the grass moves gently in the evening breeze. Tiny white flowers glow beneath the moonlight. Fireflies drift quietly through the air. Everything around you seems calm. Everything feels safe.
Notice the motion.
It's interesting because the environment isn't static. It's not a still photograph. It is active and alive, but in a very specific way.
Yeah, if we look at the mechanics of human attention, presenting a completely static, unmoving environment would be a fatal error for a sleep story.
Because it's boring.
Exactly. If nothing is happening in the narrative world, the listener's highly active mind will quickly grow bored and wander right back to their daily anxieties.
Back to the damp laundry.
Right back to the laundry. The brain demands something to process to stay anchored. So the story talker introduces micro movements. Grass swaying in the breeze, flowers faintly glowing, fireflies drifting erratically but softly.
It's like watching an old school computer screensaver.
Oh, that's a perfect image.
You know, the ones with the floating bubbles or the slow-moving geometric shapes. It occupies the eyes, or the mind's eye in this case, but it demands absolutely zero analysis.
That is the perfect analogy. These micro movements are dynamic visual cues, but crucially, they are entirely non-threatening and devoid of narrative weight.
Right.
They are predictable, rhythmic, and soft. They engage network in the brain known as the default mode network.
In default mode network.
Yes, they keep the sensory processing centers just engaged enough to prevent the mind from ruminating on tomorrow's problems, but not engaged enough to cause cognitive arousal or spark curiosity.
It's a fine line.
It is an incredibly delicate neurological balancing act.
You are giving the brain a very shiny, very soft toy to play with so it forgets about the tax forms.
Exactly.
I love it. Now, as we continue down this path, surrounded by the fireflies, we hit what I genuinely believe is the most fascinating piece of story talking in the entire text.
The river.
Yes, the river encounter. Let me read this full section because the shift here is subtle but incredible. As you continue walking, you hear water. A small river flows nearby. Its gentle sound follows you, like a peaceful lullaby. You stop beside the river. The water is crystal clear. Moonlight dances across its surface. Small, smooth stones rest beneath the flowing water. You kneel beside the river. You touch the water. It feels cool, refreshing. You notice your reflection. Your face looks peaceful. Your breathing is slower now. Your thoughts become lighter.
This sequence is just a masterstroke of psychological manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
What stands out to you about how the narrative perspective shifts in those final few sentences?
To me, it honestly feels like a benevolent Jedi mind trick.
A Jedi mind trick, I love that.
It really does. Up until this exact moment, the narrator has been strictly focused on describing the fictional world external to us. The swaying grass, the moonlight, the temperature of the water.
The surroundings.
But right at the end of that sequence, the narrator pivots entirely and starts describing us. Your face looks peaceful. Your breathing is slower now. The story talker is no longer just world building. They are aggressively projecting a desired physical state directly onto the listener.
That is exactly what is happening, and it is a breathtaking narrative pivot.
Breathtaking.
By having you look into the fictional river, the story creates a psychological mirror. It forces a mandatory moment of internal self-assessment.
Wow.
When an authoritative, calming voice tells you, your face looks peaceful, it triggers an automatic, subconscious internal scan.
You literally check yourself.
The listener's brain immediately checks in with their body.
Right.
Wait, is my face peaceful? Are my muscles tense? Is my jaw tight again?
And because you're relaxed?
Yes, because of the immense power of suggestion, combined with the physical relaxation work done at the very beginning of the piece, the listener naturally and instantly aligns their physical body with the narrative description.
That's crazy.
They will literally relax their facial muscles to match the reflection described in the story.
It is an enforced biofeedback loop. If someone tells you in a very calm, hypnotic tone, your breathing is slower now, you're going to immediately notice your respiration rate, and you are naturally going to slow it down to match the description.
You can't help it.
It's human nature. It's almost physically impossible not to conform to that suggestion in a relaxed state.
It relies heavily on the principle of suggestibility, which dramatically increases as brain waves slow down from the active beta state into the more relaxed alpha and theta states.
So you're more open to it.
Much more open. In a traditional story, a character looking into a mirror is almost always a device for conflict or dark revelation.
Oh yeah, they realize they have aged, or they see a metaphorical monster standing behind them.
Or they don't recognize who they have become. But in story talking designed for rest, the reflection is utilized purely for physical validation.
It confirms it's working.
Yes. It confirms to the listener's subconscious that the relaxation process is actually working. When it says, your thoughts become lighter, it tells you exactly how you feel, which in turn acts as a placebo effect that helps you actually achieve that feeling.
It is amazing how much heavy psychological lifting a simple fictional puddle of water can do.
Truly.
Okay, so after this moment of deep reflection and physiological alignment, the journey continues. You stand again. The journey continues. The path slowly climbs a gentle hill. At the top, you stop. The entire valley opens before you. Silver rivers, green meadows, quiet forests, tiny wooden cottages, soft golden lights glowing in their windows. Far away, a tiny church bell rings once, then silence returns.
Notice the spatial shift here.
Oh yeah, big time.
We have moved from the extreme micro to the sweeping macro. We started with the immediate, intimate surroundings, the localized smell of the air, the tactile feel of the water against our skin, and now we are elevated.
We have a bird's eye view.
We are looking down at the entire landscape from a vantage point.
I really want to talk about the sound design of this specific text,
The sound design.
because the use of the church bell is fascinating. A tiny church bell rings once, and silence returns. In a purely written or spoken format, without actual sound effects, how do you convey the concept of profound, expansive silence?
It's a tough challenge.
You can't just write, it was very, very quiet. That doesn't register emotionally. The brain just glides right over it.
Right.
But by introducing a single, distant, resonant sound, a bell ringing just once, and then explicitly stating that silence returns in its wake, the contrast makes the quiet feel so much deeper, so much more cavernous.
Cavernous.
It highlights the vast, peaceful emptiness of the space far more effectively than if there had been no sound mentioned at all.
What you are describing is a classic audio engineering principle masterfully applied to narrative text.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In audio design, you need a transient sound to establish the baseline floor of the silence. It provides necessary scale and perspective.
Like contrast in a painting.
Exactly. If there is no sound, the brain has no context for how quiet it truly is. But the choice of the bell is also highly specific.
The church bell.
Note that it's a church bell. This is a sound universally associated with structure, passage of time, and human community. But the text explicitly places it far away.
So it implies that civilization still exists, but at a perfectly safe, entirely unbothersome distance.
Yes.
It grounds the fantasy in a touch of reality without putting any of reality's stress into the valley.
Exactly. And that feeling of distant, safe community sets up what might be the strongest emotional hook of the entire piece, which happens as we stand on this hilltop looking at the cottages.
Let's hear it.
The text reads, "You smile. This place feels familiar, as though you have been here before, long ago, or perhaps only in dreams."
Okay, this is what you earlier called the nostalgia trap.
The nostalgia trap.
Explain how this works, because on its face, it makes no logical sense. How on earth can a story talker manufacture a feeling of deep nostalgia for a place that literally does not exist?
A good question.
We have never been to this valley. It is a fictional construct made of words. Yet, when I read that line about the glowing windows and feeling like I have been here before, I genuinely feel a pang of warm recognition in my chest.
I feel it too.
How is the text hacking my memory?
It hacks your memory by tapping into the collective unconscious and utilizing universal, deeply comforting archetypes.
Archetypes.
Think about the specific visual elements we just saw from the hilltop. Green sweeping meadows, quiet dense forests, tiny wooden cottages with soft golden lights glowing in the windows.
Very cozy.
These aren't just random details. They are deeply ingrained cultural archetypes of safety, warmth, and simplicity. They evoke a profound, almost genetic memory of a simpler agrarian time.
Even if I've never lived in one.
Exactly. Even if you personally have lived your entire life in a high-rise apartment and have never stepped foot inside a tiny wooden cottage.
It's like a fairy tale setting, but entirely stripped of the big bad wolf or the wicked witch. It is pure aesthetic comfort.
Exactly. The story talker presents these universally recognized archetypes and then explicitly gives the listeners psychological permission to claim this fictional space as a forgotten personal memory.
As though you have been here before.
It taps into the primal emotional relief of returning home after a long, exhausting journey. And from a neurological standpoint, familiarity is the ultimate antidote to anxiety.
Because anxiety is fundamentally a fear of the unknown, right?
Right.
It's the amygdala trying to predict all the terrible things that might happen in an unpredictable future.
Yes, anxiety requires uncertainty to survive. Nostalgia is the exact opposite. Nostalgia is the warm, unthreatening embrace of the known, the past, the deeply safe. By labeling this brand new fictional valley as a familiar, cherished memory, the story talking completely neutralizes the threat of the unknown. Your brain says, oh, we've been here before, we survived it then, it must be safe now.
So even though it's technically a new narrative journey, the text tricks the brain into feeling like it is simply a return trip. It's utterly brilliant. You do not have to keep your guard up or stay on high alert in a place your brain believes it already knows intimately. You can just let your defenses collapse.
And that leads to sleep.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the final descent into the valley and the closing sequence of our excerpt.
Let's read it.
The text reads, "You walk down the hill. A family of deer quietly watches from the trees. They are calm, they are not afraid. They simply watch you pass."
So, if we look at the traditional role of animals in storytelling, they almost always signify action or forward momentum.
Like mounting a horse to travel.
Exactly. A character mounts a horse for rapid travel, a knight fights a dragon, a wolf emerges from the woods as a lethal threat, or even a magical talking creature arrives to deliver a message and push the plot forward.
Right.
But here, the deer serve a completely different, highly specialized narrative purpose.
Because they are prey animals.
Exactly. They are the ultimate sentinels of safety.
Sentinels of safety. I love that phrase.
Think about the evolutionary biology of a deer. They are prey animals that are highly attuned to environmental danger. They startle at the snap of a twig. Their very survival depends on a state of constant twitchy hypervigilance.
They're always nervous.
Always. The story explicitly points out their physical and emotional state. They are calm, they are not afraid, they simply watch you pass.
It's an environmental endorsement of safety.
Yes.
It's one thing for the narrator, a disembodied voice, to simply tell you the valley is safe. It's a completely different, much more powerful thing to show you that the most skittish, easily frightened creatures in the forest are totally relaxed in your presence.
Because humans, as a species, evolved to rely on the body language of other animals to gauge the safety of our shared environment.
Oh, of course.
If the birds suddenly go quiet or the herd animals scatter, our ancestors knew a predator was near.
So true.
So if the fictional deer in this story are completely calm, the listener's subconscious immediately registers that there are no hidden predators in the brush.
There's no danger.
There is no looming threat hiding in the shadows. The listener's own mammalian brain takes a direct biological cue from the fictional animals.
That is just wild.
It validates the listener's right to truly, finally let their guard down. The environment itself has audited the safety of the situation and passed it with flying colors.
Using the evolutionary survival instincts of a fictional animal to hack the listener's nervous system into powering down.
Incredible, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, let's look at the final resting place, the culmination of the journey. The text reads, at the end, you lie beneath an ancient oak tree. The stars never fade, hope never fades. You breathe slowly and drift into a deep, peaceful sleep. Good night.
We end the physical journey with the ancient oak tree. Once again, we are heavily tapping into deeply rooted archetypes.
Oak tree.
An ancient oak tree is a universal, cross-cultural symbol of deep-rooted stability, endurance, and sheltering protection.
Sturdy.
It is the exact polar opposite of the chaotic, fast-paced, unpredictable modern world we left behind. It is massive, it is immovable, and it has survived for centuries.
Right.
Lying beneath its canopy implies being actively protected by something far larger, older, and more stable than oneself.
And then we get this incredible thematic linking right at the very end. The stars never fade, hope never fades.
Such a powerful line.
Throughout this whole piece, the stars have been this constant visual anchor. The title itself is The Valley, where the stars never fade. They represent the physical, unyielding permanence of this safe space.
Yes.
But in that very next sentence, the story talking merges the external physical setting, the stars, with the internal emotional state, hope.
It is the ultimate culmination of the narrative and biological journey we've been tracking. The story talking has systematically, step by step, moved the listener from the anxious, obligations-heavy waking world through physical somatic relaxation, down a destinationless path that bypassed the dopamine loops, into a state of nostalgic, archetypal familiarity.
It's a huge journey.
And right at the precise moment of transition, right as the conscious mind slips into sleep, it anchors the abstract, vulnerable concept of hope to the immovable, ancient visual of the stars.
It's beautiful.
It leaves the subconscious mind with a final, echoing message of enduring optimism to carry into the sleep cycle.
It is so much more complex than just a nice bedtime story.
Way more.
When we look at the incredible hidden mechanics of this seemingly simple text, we can really see how story talking is a highly sophisticated psychological tool.
It's an art and a science.
We've seen how it uses somatic anchors, literally tricking your blood vessels into warming your hands to bypass the busy mind. We've seen the sensory layering, prioritizing primal smells and ambient temperatures over visuals to signal evolutionary safety to the amygdala.
So effective.
We unpacked the deliberate pacing, the radical removal of destinations, and that absolute genius use of manufactured nostalgia. It is literally altering the listener's physiology, line by carefully constructed line.
It demonstrates the profound, almost frightening power of language. Not just to communicate abstract ideas, but to dictate physical reality.
Physical reality, wow.
The structure, the pacing, the specific choice of simple adjectives, the deployment of archetypes, none of it is accidental. It is a highly engineered, functional art form.
Yeah.
And it serves as a stark reminder that our nervous system is always listening to the narratives we provide it, and it will react accordingly.
And that, I think, is the most important takeaway for you listening to us right now. Even if you aren't actively trying to fall asleep, even if you are listening to this in the car in the middle of a chaotic Tuesday afternoon, it is incredibly worth examining the kind of story talking you expose yourself to on a daily basis.
Absolutely. The biological principles we've discussed today apply universally, regardless of whether the narrative is a sleep story or a newsfeed.
Because think about it, if a simple, deliberately paced story about a quiet, fictional valley can literally slow your heart rate, physically unclench your jaw, and change your breathing patterns in a matter of minutes, what is the constant, high-stakes, fast-paced narrative of your daily waking life doing to your body?
It's a terrifying thought.
When you are doom-scrolling through a feed of catastrophes at 11 p.m., or frantically refreshing your inbox, or rushing from one manufactured crisis to the next meeting, you are actively engaging in a brutal form of story talking.
You're telling your brain a scary story.
You are telling your brain a story of constant urgency, constant destinations, constant threats. And your body is reacting to that narrative, pumping cortisol, constricting blood vessels, preparing for a fight just as automatically as it relaxed in the valley.
This raises a vital question about our own agency. We often feel like we are entirely at the mercy of our stress, as if it is something happening to us.
Right.
But understanding the underlying mechanics of story talking gives us a tangible tool. We can begin to recognize when a narrative, whether it is external, coming from our screens and media, or internal, coming from our own catastrophic thoughts, is deliberately triggering a physiological stress response.
Exactly. You are the author of the narrative your nervous system receives. So I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder today.
Let's hear it.
We started this deep dive by talking about the heavy physical weight of a stressful email and how the right sequence of words can systematically lift that weight.
Yeah.
You now know the mechanics.
You have the tools.
You know how to unburden the mind by checking out of the indispensability trap. You know how to use your breath as a physical vehicle to create distance. You know the power of removing plot stakes and arriving nowhere.
Yeah.
So how can you consciously write your own valley into the middle of your most stressful days? When the modern world is screaming for every ounce of your attention, how do you become the story talker of your own life and purposefully author a moment where there is nowhere you need to be? Imagine a piece of literature where the author's ultimate goal, like their sole metric of success, is that you never actually finish reading.
Right. It is completely wild to think about.
Yeah. A story engineered from the very first syllable to basically dismantle your attention span and make you lose consciousness before the final page.
It completely upends the traditional rules of writing. I mean, normally an author wants to grip your attention and just refuse to let go.
Oh, for sure. They want you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here, they are actively trying to negotiate a hostage release with your waking brain.
Which makes today's source material such a brilliant paradox. So, welcome to this deep dive. Today we are examining a complete final script for a sleep story, and it is titled The Lighthouse That Remembered Dreams.
And we really have a great mission for this deep dive.
We do. We aren't just going to recap a bedtime tale for you. We are going to unpack the actual architecture of sleep storytelling.
Yeah, because it is a highly structured thing.
Right. We are going to explore how this specific script uses pacing, deliberate sensory imagery, and some surprisingly heavy emotional themes to biologically and psychologically hack the human mind.
Lulling it right into a state of deep rest. Because honestly, it truly is an architectural feat.
It really is.
Sleep storytelling isn't just, ambient white noise or some plotless drone. It is a highly structured psychological tool that is just cloaked in a narrative.
Yeah, cloaked is the perfect word for it. Every single word is chosen to trigger a specific physiological response. So to understand how that works, I want you to picture the opening scene the script lays out. You are immediately placed in a quiet night. The world has finally become still.
Which is such a powerful starting point.
It is. You are standing beside an ocean. The waves are moving gently beneath the moonlight. The wind is whispering through the grass, and you are walking down a narrow, earthen path toward a dark cliff.
The setting does a ton of heavy lifting before the plot even begins.
Oh, absolutely.
It immediately isolates you. There are no traffic sounds, no crowded rooms, no smartphones pinging, just the natural rhythmic elements of an empty coast.
And standing there on that coast is our protagonist, Clara. She is completely alone. And the script, it doesn't waste time on complex action sequences or intricate backstory at all.
No, it zooms right in.
Yeah, it explicitly focuses on very slow, gentle movements. There is a lighthouse on the cliff, and its golden light is sweeping across the dark sea.
And then there is that repetition.
Yes. The script repeats this phrase once, twice, again, and again. And underlying that sweeping light is the periodic resonant ringing of the lighthouse bell dong.
That sweeping light and that bell, they are basically the foundational pillars of the entire cognitive hack.
Okay, let's unpack this, because when I first read that opening, I just kept visualizing a hypnotist's swinging pendulum.
Oh, that is a great analogy.
Or maybe like a really slow metronome sitting on a piano. The golden light sweeps, the bell rings. Doo. It really feels like the script is actively trying to physically slow down your internal clock by providing these recurring sensory anchors.
What's fascinating here is the clinical psychology behind that exact mechanism. That is what makes this so incredibly effective.
Right, because it's not just pretty words.
Not at all.
Right.
When we try to calm a dysregulated nervous system in a therapeutic setting, we use grounding techniques. Throughout your day, your brain is in a state of hypervigilance.
Constantly on edge.
Yeah, it is tracking a million unpredictable variables, emails, conversations, the car braking suddenly in front of you. That keeps your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, highly engaged.
So the brain is basically just stuck in high gear.
Precisely. So by introducing this repetitive golden light and the slow, resonant dong of the bell, the story creates a perfectly enclosed, predictable environment.
A safe zone, kind of.
Right. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, specifically stimulating the vagus nerve. It forces the brain to shift away from the chaotic, unpredictable anxieties of the waking world and synchronize with a simple pattern.
Wow.
You literally cannot maintain a high heart rate or rapid breathing if your brain is fully locked onto the slow, predictable rhythm of those imaginary waves.
It acts as a gentle, rhythmic tether. I love that. It keeps you from floating back up into your own stressful, spiraling thoughts.
Sick.
But, that soothing, rhythmic exterior is essentially just the lobby of this story. Because once Clara steps through the old wooden door of this lighthouse and climbs the endless spiral staircase, the narrative introduces a metaphor that is surprisingly profound.
It definitely takes a darker, a more melancholic turn than you might expect from something that is meant to help you relax.
It really does. I was a bit shocked. Clara reaches the top of the stairs and enters the lantern room. But the walls aren't covered in maps or nautical gear like you would expect. They are lined with hundreds of glowing glass bottles. Blue, green, silver, golden light shining from within them. And she meets the keeper of the lighthouse, this old man with a lantern named Elias.
And when Clara asks what is inside the bottles, Elias tells her they are dreams.
Specifically, the dreams people have forgotten.
And he doesn't shy away from explaining the harsh reality of why those dreams were forgotten either.
Man, that part hit incredibly hard. Elias says people forget their dreams because life becomes loud, they become busy, and they become afraid.
It is so poignant.
It is. And then Clara finds her own bottle, a glowing golden one, and touching it unlocks a deeply repressed memory.
Right, the memory of her grandmother.
Yeah, she is 8 years old, standing on a beach with her grandmother, drawing a lighthouse in the sand. And her grandmother tells her the lighthouse shines for someone who needs to find their way home.
Such a beautiful image.
But then we learn that Clara stopped dreaming, stopped writing, and stopped wondering entirely after her grandmother died. She just became practical, dizzy, and responsible.
She locked that gentle, vulnerable part of herself away in order to survive the acute grief. And then, just the mundane busyness of adulthood.
Okay, but this is where I have to push back a little on the strategy here.
Let's hear it.
A sleep story centered on repressed grief, the death of a beloved grandmother, and the crushing, mundane weight of practical adulthood. Isn't that way too heavy?
It sounds like it would be.
Right. I mean, if you are lying in bed trying to get to sleep, do you really want to be confronting the death of your own childhood wonder?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, on the surface, it seems entirely counterintuitive. Why not just tell a story about a happy bunny in a meadow, right?
Exactly. Give me the happy bunny.
But if we look at the cognitive behavioral principles of sleep anxiety, it actually makes perfect sense. Ignoring daily anxieties or pretending sadness doesn't exist, that rarely works for a racing mind.
Because it just pushes it down.
Right. If you tell an insomniac, don't be stressed, their brain immediately highlights the stress.
The classic, don't think of a pink elephant problem. If you try to force yourself not to think about your impending deadline, that deadline is all you can see.
Yes. What this script does is far more sophisticated. It acknowledges the gentle melancholy we all feel late at night.
That quiet 2 a.m. feeling?
Right. When the house is quiet and the distractions of the day are gone, that is when the grief, the regret, and the feeling of missing out on life all creep in.
Yeah, they really do.
The story validates your quiet nighttime anxieties. But it doesn't just leave them hanging out in the open. It safely contains them.
Oh, it puts them in the glass bottle.
Exactly that. The heavy feelings are acknowledged, but they are physically contained within beautiful glowing glass bottles in a safe, magical room guarded by a wise old keeper.
That is so clever.
It takes the abstract terror of existential adult dread and makes it manageable, beautiful, and safe to observe from a distance.
It is a brilliant reframing. It is basically whispering to you, yes, you are sad, you are tired, you have lost things, but look how beautifully we can store that sadness for the night. But merely storing anxiety isn't enough to actually induce sleep. You also have to actively release physical tension. And that brings us to the most crucial mechanism in the script. which is modeled for the listener through a new character named Daniel.
This is a huge shift. This is the turning point where the narrative moves from emotional containment to active physical release.
Yeah, because Clara isn't alone with Elias for long. We hear slow footsteps on the spiral staircase. Step, step, step.
Very methodical.
Right. A man named Daniel appears in the doorway. He is wearing a wet coat, he has a pale face, and these deeply tired eyes, and he is desperate. He wants to steal Clara's golden dream to open what he calls the door to yesterday.
He really represents a person entirely trapped in the sunk cost fallacy of their own past.
He wants one more day with someone he lost, his sister Anna. He has spent his whole adult life trying to force his way backward to bring her back.
It is heartbreaking.
It is, but Elias gently tells him that he cannot go back. And Clara realizes Daniel doesn't need to steal her dream. He needs to remember his own.
Which is a huge breakthrough for him.
Yeah, and when he finally stops trying to force a solution, a memory returns to him. He remembers Anna laughing, running through a sunny field with a brilliant red kite.
A great visual.
Clara tells him Anna doesn't need him to stay trapped in the past. She tells him he needs to live. Daniel touches a red bottle, briefly sees Anna on the beach, and she echoes that command. She tells him to go live.
The realization is powerful, but the script knows that cognitive realization isn't enough to release deep tension.
Right, knowing you should relax doesn't actually make you relax.
Exactly, so it revisits him a few moments later to show the physical manifestation of letting go.
And this is the sequence that completely blew my mind. Here is where it gets really interesting. Later in the story, Clara visits Daniel again in this sort of in-between dream space.
Right.
He is sitting by an open window, looking much older, and he is physically clutching that red kite from his memory. He remembered Anna, and he got stuck again, just holding onto the memory of her with a white-knuckle grip.
Still trapped.
Yeah. Clara tells him to honor her by living. And Daniel finally opens his hands. He physically lets go of the red kite. He watches it fly out the window up into the sky until it is just a tiny red dot. And only then does his face soften into peace.
It is a vivid visual metaphor for surrender.
It really is. When I was reading this, I couldn't help but compare that emotional release to the physical act of progressive muscle relaxation.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, when you purposefully tense up your shoulders, clench your jaw, make tight fists, and then you intentionally release them, feeling the tension drain out of your muscle.
That is exactly what it's doing.
Daniel has had this death grip on his grief. He is emotionally and physically clenched. Releasing that kite is the narrative equivalent of unclenching your jaw. He unclenches his mind so his body can finally rest.
It is an incredibly potent biological cue embedded right in the middle of a bedtime story. I mean, think about what is keeping someone awake at 2 a.m.
It is Daniel's problem.
Exactly. The listener is gripping tightly to a conversation they had 5 years ago, or a mistake they made at work, or the profound grief of losing someone. They are lying in the dark, physically tense, holding on to their own red kites.
Wow, yeah. We are all just sitting in the dark, holding on to our red kites, refusing to open our hands.
And Elias makes the thematic core of this explicit when Clara asks what the lighthouse really does. He says the lighthouse isn't really about sleeping at all, it is about waking up.
Waking up to life.
Yes. It reminds people to wake up to the life that have been waiting for them all along. By having you watch Daniel let go of his tension, it subliminally grants your own brain permission to put down the heavy baggage of the day.
It totally gives you permission to mentally clock out. But, okay, here is where the script pulls off its wildest maneuver.
It really takes a turn here.
It does. Once Daniel's emotional tension is released, and you are presumably feeling a bit lighter, the story doesn't just neatly wrap up. It doesn't follow a standard 3-act structure to a logical conclusion.
Not at all.
Instead, the mythology of the lighthouse drastically expands. The whole narrative fractures and shifts from a linear, logical progression into something incredibly surreal and disjointed.
The strict boundaries of reality just completely dissolve.
They evaporate. Elias passes his golden lantern to Clara, and she becomes the new keeper. Suddenly, a 10-year-old girl named Lily arrives at the door, mourning her mother.
Out of nowhere.
Right. And through a series of bizarre reveals, we find out Lily is actually Clara's future granddaughter. The script tells us the lighthouse doesn't exist inside normal time at all. It exists somewhere between yesterday and tomorrow.
It abandons the chronological rules of daytime reality entirely.
Then, to save the fading light of the lighthouse, Clara has to visit something called the First Dream behind a dark door, where she finds a young version of Elias. She learns that Eliza's own daughter dreamed up the lighthouse to begin with.
It gets so layered.
So layered. The next second, Clara is suddenly transported to a village bookstore called The Dreaming Lantern, run by a woman named Margaret. And Clara realizes she has to sit down and write the very book we are currently experiencing to keep the magic alive.
It is a full-on paradox.
Yeah. And I have to ask about this time loops. Future granddaughters. The creating the creator. Doesn't this kind of complex Inception-style plotting stimulate the brain way too much for a sleep story?
This raises an important question, actually, because if you were fully awake, yes, it would absolutely stimulate you.
Right, I'd be trying to map it all out on a whiteboard.
Exactly. But this points to the neurobiology of how the brain actually transitions into sleep. Think about the hypnagogic state, that liminal space, right on the very edge of falling asleep.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever paid attention to your thoughts in that moment, you will notice they stop making logical sense.
Oh, definitely. You will be thinking about paying your electric bill, and suddenly you are convinced that a giant tortoise needs to sign the check, and your brain doesn't even question it.
That is dream logic in action. When we are awake, our prefrontal cortex is in charge. It demands linear progression. A causes B, which causes C.
Making sense of the world.
Right. But to enter REM sleep, that logical analytical part of the brain has to power down, handing the reins over to the amygdala and the hippocampus, which process abstract emotions and memories.
Oh, wow.
So by intentionally blurring the edges of reality, by introducing future granddaughters and paradoxical time loops, the script is artificially mimicking the onset of the REM sleep state.
So it is feeding the brain the exact kind of nonsense it expects to see right before it shuts off.
It is forcing a cognitive decoupling. If the story remains entirely logical, your prefrontal cortex stays engaged. It tries to predict the next plot point, solve the mystery, or analyze the character motivation.
It stays awake doing a job.
Exactly. But when time stops making sense, your analytical brain gets overwhelmed. It essentially says, I cannot track this chronological puzzle anymore. I surrender. And that surrender is the physiological prerequisite for falling asleep.
It is like the script is holding your hand and slowly walking you across the border from daytime reality into a dream state, using the plot as a diversion tactic.
That is a great way to describe it.
And this complete dissolution of logic sets up the script's final and arguably most vital trick. The moment where the story literally steps out of the pages and directly into your bedroom.
The breaking of the fourth wall.
Yes. Clara realizes that her childhood dream wasn't to live in isolation in a lighthouse. Her dream was to tell stories that make lonely people feel less alone.
Which is beautiful.
It is. Her golden dream light fades into the ocean because she realizes dreams are meant to be shared, not hoarded in glass bottles. And right at that moment of beautiful narrative resolution, the script pivots completely.
It is a massive shift.
It stops telling Clara's story. It abandons the third-person narrative altogether.
It transforms from storytelling to active, direct guidance.
Yeah, the text actually reads, and perhaps one day you may see it too. Perhaps on a quiet night, when the world becomes still, you will close your eyes. You will hear the sound of waves.
It is so direct.
It starts speaking directly to you, the listener. It commands you to let your thoughts become quiet, to listen to the imaginary waves. It feels exactly like the gentle fade out at the end of a really great song.
Oh, I love that comparison.
The realization hits you that the story we just read is the story Clara wrote in that bookstore to help people sleep. The narrator stops being a distant storyteller and suddenly becomes a soothing guide sitting right next to your bed.
The mechanics of that shift in pronouns are just brilliant. Moving from the third-person narrative about Clara and Daniel to the second-person, you, is a profound psychological transfer of energy.
How so?
Well, for 15 minutes, the listener has watched Clara and Daniel find peace, resolve their deep-seated grief, and let go of their physical tension. By suddenly shifting to you, the script takes all of that accumulated peace and effectively transfers it directly onto the listener.
It is like handing the listener the golden lantern.
It is. It says, they found their peace, they let go of their kites, and now it is your turn. It also uses incredibly suggestive clinical language in this final phase.
Like what?
Phrases like, let your thoughts become quiet, or the day slowly drifts away. It is no longer suggesting relaxation through metaphor. It is directly instructing your nervous system to shut down, using the safe, contained environment of the lighthouse as the backdrop.
And it ends by bringing back that recurring, grounding motif from the very beginning. The final bell rings. Dong. The golden light passes over the ocean. the waves become softer, and the guide tells you that your dreams are finally finding their way home.
It is so cohesive.
It is an incredibly hypnotic, sensory-rich package that brings everything full circle.
It really proves that sleep storytelling isn't just about being boring. It is about taking profound human experiences, grief, hope, memory, the feeling of being overwhelmed by life, and using narrative resolution to trigger physical relaxation.
It is functional art.
Exactly. It creates a space where you feel seen, validated, and ultimately safe enough to finally close your eyes.
It gives you a physical place to put your anxieties so you don't have to carry them into your sleep. And that actually brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with.
I'd love to hear it.
Something to mull over the next time you are lying awake in the dark, struggling to shut your brain off. The script suggests that when we forget our dreams, they don't die. They wait for us in this beautiful lighthouse guarded by an old keeper.
Right.
So what if the very act of going to sleep isn't just a biological necessity? What if it isn't just about resting our tired physical bodies, but taking a necessary nightly journey?
A journey to where?
A journey to visit the parts of ourselves, our old hopes and forgotten wonder, that we are simply too busy, too practical, or too afraid to listen to during the loud hours of the day.
That is a fascinating perspective.
Maybe we aren't just turning our brains off. Maybe we are going back to check on the things we have left behind.
A lighthouse waiting just beyond the darkness of the conscious mind.
Exactly. Think about that the next time you close your eyes and let the imaginary waves roll in. What forgotten dream is waiting for you in a glowing glass bottle? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It has been great.
It has been an absolute pleasure unpacking the architecture of sleep storytelling with you. We hope you will join us for our next exploration, where we will dive into another fascinating corner of the things that shape our world.
Until next time.
Until then, just remember, somewhere out there, a golden light is sweeping across the water. Once, twice, again, and again. Sleep well.